welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, special on the road edition. And I am here with the quarterback of the Navy Midshipmen, Braxton Woodson, who joins me here ahead of the Army-Navy game. Braxton, how are you?
Doing great. I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
And Braxton, I'm down in Florida, spending some time with my dad, home away from home for me, second hub of Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, and I got a lot of family down here. Just bring me into being from Altamonte Springs and what you can tell me about your spot growing up.
Yeah, it's a great area, a great community. We're really involved, my family with the community. I got a younger brother, he's playing with the Pop Warner team, so I like try to help out with them when I can. I got a younger brother that's playing high school right now. So we're all over the place in the area and very supportive all over.
Yeah, and like you said, being all over the area, Altamonte Springs, I remember the first time I ever did a live remote with my company. Well, before my company, it was when I was on ESPN 1080 The Team in Orlando. I did a show at a dealership in Altamonte Springs. So every time I pass Altamonte, I remember that's where I got to do my first live remote. So
Wow.
what's your fondest memory of growing up in Altamonte Springs? Maybe something that you can go back to.
Fondest memory, I'd say the Lake Mary, Lake Brantley rivalry football games. They got pretty intense at points. And I think that was a lot of fun, just going out there and competing against the guys right down the road.
So for you going through high school and making a decision, why Navy? Why the U.S. Naval Academy, knowing that committing to them means committing a lot more than simply football?
Mm-hmm. It was just, I think it was wanting to do something bigger than myself, wanting to do something different. I didn't really know about the academy until I got the scholarship offer, but right when I looked into it, it just, it checked all of the boxes as far as like what I wanted to do, not as far as the military aspect, but as far as doing something to help people, doing something to make good change and to be a role model to those, in the area, in the community.
So what's the day-to-day like that we don't see? You're a student, you're an athlete, but you're also in the Naval Academy. So what does that kind of command from you on a day-to-day basis?
I'd say it's once you get into the groove of it, it's not too bad. But at the beginning, it's pretty stressful. You'll have your formation in the morning. You'll have certain trainings and things like that that you might have to go to, or you might, get an excusal from because you're on the football team. You have to have accountability, let people know where you are at certain times, because all of those things play a factor when you actually get into the fleet. So they teach you all of that here, and learning how to balance that along with football and school. I think it's just nothing but help for when the time actually comes to go out there and serve.
You wear, when it comes to the Navy, all whites, right? You got to keep it clean. But on the field, it's the opposite. So
Right.
how do you live in that world of we got to clean the jersey every game, but you got to make sure that the outfit is clean for the Navy?
Oh yeah, I think it's just a mental game. Sometimes you just got to be able to flip that switch, especially when you get in between those white lines. You got to know that it's all business from there, and then once you step off the field, you got to go back to being a classy midshipman.
And for you, like you said, be ready when it's time to serve. What are you most looking forward to from that aspect of it, of representing the United States Navy to the world?
Really, it's just that representing the country that we live in. Just defending the people that live in this country, and also paying a tribute to those who came before us, and just giving my time and doing my due diligence.
Braxton here with us on Wake Up Call before the Army-Navy game, talking about a lot of things bigger than football. We know that this game is coming up, though, very, very soon. The team is 8-3 overall for you, 6-2 inside of the American Athletic Conference.
Right.
I know that there was a little bit of a skid, the first loss of the season to Notre Dame, and then Rice, and shortly after to Tulane. What did you learn from those 3 losses after starting the season undefeated?
I would say that it's the way that we look at things. It's our perspective. We can't go into a game feeling like that we're gonna be on top of the world and that it's gonna be a cakewalk, and we can't go into games thinking that we're gonna be the underdogs and that it's gonna be a dogfight. We got to go in there with confidence, feeling that we can play with anybody that we're going against, and that we can have the chance of winning every time we step on the field.
So for you, when you play that game against Notre Dame, is Notre Dame really that good this season, or do you feel like there was just things that were left on the field? I know there was a lot of turnovers offensively.
Hmm. Yeah, there were a lot of turnovers offensively. You know, we shot ourselves in the foot a lot of times, and I think that's really what it is. You know, we go from the first couple of games not having a turnover since the first game of the season to having that many in one game. It could do a lot to the team. Drop the morale pretty low, and I think that's what we learned from that game. You know, just got to stay consistent throughout the game as far as controlling the ball.
You're a quarterback, you're a leader by nature when it comes to that position. What did you do in that time of adversity for this team to try and be a voice of solidarity, a voice of community, a voice of connection and positivity? What did you do as a leader when the team had some adversity this season?
I think in those moments you just got to let the people know, let your teammates know, let your guys know that we're still the same team that we were when we were 6-0. You know, nothing's changed, and you know, despite having one bad game, that doesn't define who we are.
So for you, how would you define the Navy midshipmen this season on the field?
I'd say we're a bunch of like relentless dudes. You know, we might not be the biggest, the fastest, you know, but we have a lot of heart. We have a lot of determination, and we're playing for the guys to our right and our left. And I think that's what's making us so successful.
What I love about seeing this game is there's no names on the jersey. It's just representing the Navy as a family. Bring me into that. The fact that so many schools around the country have their family name on the back, but the family name on the back of your jersey says Navy. So just bring me into that.
I really think it's just the brotherhood. You know how much we care about, like I said earlier, the guys who we playing with. You know, also what we represent. You know, we know that we represent, you know, the United States Navy and Marine Corps, and we have all of those eyes on us at all times. And we kind of take that as a challenge, and we own that, and we think about it every day, and we go about our business, you know, knowing what we're called to do.
Braxton, the American Athletic Conference, I've covered this conference before. It had a name or a logo when Mike Oresco was working with his team to put everything together from the old Big East. So I've seen a lot with this conference. I've seen the national disrespect of this conference. I've seen the national disrespect of military academies getting ranked in the top 25. What should the country know about where Navy is heading, in your opinion, and about the American Athletic?
I'd say for Navy specifically that, you know, we're coming to win. You know, being a service academy, we don't take that as, you know, that as a setback. We're trying to use that as an advantage, how to grow closer as a team and how to get better and how to prepare for the next season upcoming and how to win as many games as possible. And as a conference, you know, we have a lot of great competition in this conference. You know, we have a lot of teams that are always in the top 25. So we have a lot of competition here. We got a lot of guys that can compete and can play at a high level.
We've seen you, we've seen Army, we've seen Memphis, Tulane, and so on have success this season. What can you say to the level of competition specifically here in 2024-25 in the American?
Oh, it's great. A lot of great competition. You know, we've had a lot of great opponents. Like you said, you know, Tulane and Memphis, those being probably two of our bigger opponents that we've played this year. They're really good teams. You know, you got to go in there and you got to be ready to play it, especially against teams like that, who've definitely been ranked in the top 25 throughout the season. So,
Braxton Woodson, the quarterback of the Navy Midshipmen, here with me ahead of the Army-Navy game. So getting into this game specifically, there is no love lost between these two military academies. When you talk every single week, and no matter who the opponent is, go Army, beat Navy, go Navy, beat Army. That's what you hear all year long.
right.
So bring me into that element of this. I mean, this is not just a game. This is America's game, and it means a lot. And it's like the undertone of the entire season is go Army, beat Navy, go Navy, beat Army. What's it like to be a part of a rivalry where you guys are thinking about it? I mean, obviously you're preparing for games and playing the games that you have in front of you, but there is that constant, we want to be clear that we want to win that game at the end of the season.
Yes, it's great. You know, always having that in the back of our minds. You know, no matter what time of the year it is, that's the real big game that we want to play. You know, we work really hard. We do a lot of hard things in the off season. You know, our training and things like that. You know, for this game. this is the biggest game of the year for us, and we're going to prepare accordingly. And I'm just blessed to be a part of it.
Do you feel that? Because when I talked to Brian Newberry, your head coach, and Jeff Monken, the head coach of Army, when I asked them to speak on each other's programs, there's silence relatively. Do you feel that in the entire academy when it comes to speaking on Army in your case?
Oh, most definitely. We try to just focus on ourselves. On the team, we say that all of our opponents are nameless and faceless. They're just people in the way of our goal, of what we want to accomplish.
When you see everybody in the stands for this matchup, I mean, we're not just talking about fans. We're speaking on people that are literally in the United States Army, the United States Navy. These are your brothers and sisters that are watching this game. It is extremely emotional and extremely rooted in history. For that element of it, how would you describe this game different from any other game in the sense of when you look out into the stands and you see the Naval Academy and the United States Army?
It's really a great feeling to be able to even be on the field, to know that you're representing all of that. But at the same time, you can't let it get bigger than a football game, and then you'll be playing outside of yourself. You won't be able to play as confident, as free as you normally would. And in those moments, you kind of owe it to all of those people to be at your best self. So, in those moments, you got to know that it's just a football game, despite how big it may seem and what you're representing. You got to be able to play under that amount of pressure.
What are you, Braxton Woodson, personally thinking about going into that game?
Winning, getting that trophy, the CIC trophy, back to Annapolis.
And we know that this game's going to be in D.C. It's in the nation's capital for the Army-Navy game, not too far from Annapolis, Maryland, where the U.S. Naval Academy calls home. So knowing that you're playing close to the roots of the U.S. Naval Academy, just what that's like, because I know that the game changes locations throughout the years. So just what it is to have it down the road.
Oh, it's awesome. Right down the road, we don't have to travel too far. We can stay focused on our goal. We won't have to worry about travel or anything like that. We can just be ready to, hop on the bus, get down there, get to the hotel, get our minds right and be ready to play.
So going into this game, I'm going to ask you to say something nice, and don't worry, I'll make sure that he watches this. Head coach Brian Newberry, tell me something good about Coach.
Coach Newberry?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a really good guy. He cares a lot about, our thought process throughout practice. He'll come up to you and ask you, like, what were you thinking on that play, or what made you make that decision? And I think it helps me a lot, because it makes me like have to explain myself and kind of talk about it. And I think through talking about it, you learn more about the game.
He came in as a defensive side of the ball coach. What has he done to show you as an offensive player that he can truly oversee and handle all of the elements?
I'd say really just every day he comes into our meeting room and he just sits there, and I think he's really just sitting there trying to get a better understanding of what offensive coordinator Coach Cronic is trying to put together. And I think from that little interaction that we're having every day, he'll maybe ask a question or two, and I think that's him showing that he's really trying his best to develop an understanding for the offensive side of the ball.
We know that you like to run when it comes to the Navy midshipmen. For you and kind of you personally within this offense, what you've done to maybe have some nuances that maybe people don't see to the naked eye, some things you do in practice that you implement in a game, just how you would describe how you personally run this offense.
I'd say I try to run it, according to what Coach Cronic, calls as far as the passing game. But at the same time, I know that there's no need to force anything or try to make something out of nothing as far as in the passing game, when I can pull the ball down and run with it.
Defensively, you go up against this defense in practice. What can you say Navy's able to hang their hat on defensively this season? What is it about the defense that you think is so good?
Just the togetherness of them. They on our defense, compared to a lot of other defenses, we're not the biggest or the fastest, but as far as our heart and how we play, our effort, attitude, and toughness, I think it's just exceptional.
And before we get into some rapid fire where you and I get to put each other on the hot seat, Braxton, and have some fun with that, to represent this Naval Academy in this game and to stand on that field, and to look at, like you said, all of the history, everyone that came before you. Do you have anyone that you reach out to? Is there any mentorship? Is there anyone that comes back to speak to the team? Any connections that you've made with midshipmen of the past?
Yeah, I'd say the Navy Football Brotherhood is very strong. You know, just at practice yesterday, we had a bunch of, graduates all ranging back from 19, I think it was 86. And they just came back and just said their piece and just told us like their experiences from the Army Navy game, their experiences being a midshipman and what they're doing now. And I think seeing that is just a big help for us. Letting us know that it's bigger than football, but at the same time, it's still football is what's bringing them back and it's what's keeping us all connected.
There's the notion that this time it's winner take all, the trophy is out there. Bring me into that it's not always in this way, but this game specifically for Army Navy, it is winner take all. Whoever gets the victory takes everything. Just what that means to people that may not know the winner take all opportunity that's there this season.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity. The CIC trophy is what we strive for, is one of our main goals every season. So just making it the Army Navy game just makes it that much better for the win.
So let's go into some rapid fire. We can ask each other anything. It could be football related or literally anything about life. Braxton, you get asked the questions all the time, so you get to ask me first. What do you have?
All right, let's see. Growing up, did you play football?
I did not play padded football. I played pickup football. My mom told me if I ever got on a football field, she would kill me. So, so I did. I played quarterback, running back, and some defensive stuff. I actually started a league with listeners of Wake Up Call of my show, and we had a flag football league. So it was a lot of fun to go out there and do that. But I have never worn the pads, never donned the pads.
Okay.
My question back to you, Braxton, if you weren't playing football, what sport do you think you would be the best at and why?
I would say track. I'd say I'd be running track. I was pretty good at track in high school, made it to states and things like that. So I'd say track.
Okay. All right. What's your next one for me?
If you weren't doing this, what would you say your next profession would be? Like what your job would be?
Stuff that I'm working on. Stand-up comedy, screenwriting,
Okay.
Probably some music stuff. I like to write music, I like to be a part of that music world. So I would say being a creator and a storyteller just in like different venues.
Awesome.
Braxton, one meal you can't live without. And then part B to this question, the one food that you wish never existed. It could be a snack. It could be something that's, created from the earth, like a fruit or something, but what can't you live without? And what's the one thing you walk through a grocery store and you're like, man, I wish that was never created.
One food I can't live without. I'd probably say Chipotle. I love Chipotle.
Okay.
And one food that I wish never existed, I'd say raisins. I don't like raisins. I hate raisins.
Okay. Even if there's like chocolate or something on
Nah.
Okay.
Can't do it.
Do you like grapes?
Yeah, love grapes.
Okay. So you just don't like when grapes get all shriveled up in the sun?
Yeah, no way.
Okay. All right. What's your last question for me?
Last question. Let's see. If you had to be a professional athlete at any sport, what would it be?
Oh man. Basketball. Always wanted to. Yeah, I played that the majority growing up, and it's still one of the places where I could shut my brain off. I feel like if someone asked me to come in and coach right away, I'd be drawing up plays and doing all kinds of stuff. Like I'm very much in the game, even when I'm not physically in the game. So I would say basketball for sure. My last one for you, Braxton. What is the single best piece of advice you've ever been given, and who did it come from?
Wow. Single best piece. I might say from my mom. She said, just never be, content with mediocrity. Never being mediocre. Just always wanting to be the best that you can be at everything that you do.
And what's your mom's first name?
Angela.
Shout out to Angela, and shout out to the whole family. Braxton Woodson, and shout out to Altamonte Springs. So with that being said, the Army-Navy game is coming up here, folks. It is the only game you're going to see on December 14th, and we look forward to you paying attention to that game in our nation's capital as the Navy midshipman and quarterback Braxton Woodson get ready to go up against the Army Black Knights. Braxton, this has been an honor and a privilege for me. and more than anything else, as the grandson of a wonderful, wonderful member of the United States Naval Academy in World War II, and the grandnephew of my great uncle Carmen, who also served in World War II. I want to thank you, and I want to thank the entire Naval Academy for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. God bless.
Yes, sir.